so sunk into the being Lions fans, man. We love the Lions. Coach Campbell did a great job with his crew, and they played a fantastic football game to get the win, to give us the chance. So we're going to try to do something with it. Unfortunately, we're playing the Niners, and they're loaded and healthy and on a roll and about as hot as you could possibly get, and doing it in a really commanding fashion too. You know, with the young quarterback who's doing so well, just kind of buck the odds. You know, that everybody would think he could do that, and everybody in the media anyway.
All right, that was the youngest looking 71-year-old man on planet Earth, the great Pete Carroll, like Keanu Reeves. He just never gets older, Matthew Berry.
I like him saying, and the young quarterback. Do you think he just didn't know Brock Purdy's name?
Yeah. I think he's played some mind games across the board there.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
he might be
the
sandbagging his own team. He's talking up he's talking up the 49ers. He's not wrong, though.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Not wrong at all.
He's not wrong.
He's a great scouting
He's
report.
not wrong at all.
BetMGM agrees the Seahawks are 9.5-point underdogs to the 49ers. The total is 42.5. And fantasy-wise, I think the big question about this game, Matthew, is whether Christian McCaffrey is worth paying up for, the second most expensive player out there, just Justin Jefferson in front of him.
I think he is. I certainly think he is. First off, again, game script should favor him as well. It's a great matchup against Seattle. They give him the fourth most fantasy points to running backs this season. He's had 135 or more scrimmage yards in 4 of the last 5 games. Obviously, the number 2 running back in fantasy on a points per game basis this year. If he'd been in San Francisco the entire year, I think he's the number 1. I don't think it's particularly close. And you think about that one game, that Thursday night game against Seattle, where McCaffrey was part of the Niners, 25.8 fantasy points. You know, just had a monster game, and that the defense, Seattle's defense is a work in progress. I just think I think McCaffrey has that rare combination of both an incredibly high floor,
yes,
and incredibly high upside.
Yep.
In a bad game for McCaffrey, I think he earns you the money. In a great game for McCaffrey, I think he's worth it. If that makes any sense, he's not going to screw you.
Look, week 18, everybody was getting carries. Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason, Ty Davis-Price. All CMC needed was 13 touches to get 16 fantasy points. Like, that's close to his floor right there. Like, you good with that. We know in the playoffs, he going to get more than 13 touches. They was just whooping up on them Cardinals then, so they let him chill a little bit. But like you said, like, the floor is like you still chilling.
Yep.
And I also just think at the running back position, there aren't a lot of other guys that you like. You don't love. You know, we talked about Eckler, right? And I do think Etienne's interesting, but the Baltimore-Cincinnati game, you don't love any of the running backs in there.
Buffalo,
in terms
Miami,
of and their price, Cook and Barkley against each other, both good running backs, but also decent run defenses that they're gonna face there as well. So you don't feel right. I don't know that I feel great about. The Bills guys are all going to split carries. The Dolphins are in a negative game script. Just as you sort of go through the games and you're like, all right, well, if I don't go running back here, you certainly don't like Ken Walker on the other side of this going against San Francisco. So I sort of feel like he's worth paying up for, and I wouldn't mind going cheaper at least a couple of wide receiver positions. Maybe I think you can go cheap at quarterback this weekend. I'm paying up for CMC.
Yep. Lawrence, Debo Samuel, remember him? I feel like we haven't really absorbed the Debo experience this year. He was arguably the best player on the Niners last season. Now I think if you're thinking Niners this year, you're thinking Brock Purdy, you're thinking McCaffrey, you're thinking Nick Bosa, you think Kyle Shanahan before you're thinking Debo Samuel. But he is one of the most talented players in football. Would you rather pay up for him or Brandon Aiyuk this week?
Who's costing more right now? Because
believe it or not, Aiyuk's $100 more. They're both cheap, $5,800 to $5,700 for Aiyuk for Samuel.
Yeah, I'm going to go Debo. And their receiving prop, Debo's is 43.5 to Aiyuk's 48.5. Debo got his feet back wet coming back from injury last week. I think Debo about to show us the real Debo now that it's playoff time. You got the Seahawks defense. Matthew mentioned them earlier. They give up a lot of fantasy points. And look, Brock Purdy's in his first start, Debo scored 16 fantasy points in that game against the Bucs. So it's not like he can't get it going with Brock Purdy. It was just for a short period of time before he got hurt. I think Debo about to show us.
Well, look, they're basically the same. They're basically the same price, and so The only anti-Debo argument is health. Yep. But if we think he's fully healthy, which we seem to assume that he is, he's better than Brandon Aiyuk.
He just is.
Yeah. I mean, again, and that's no disrespect to Brandon Aiyuk, but Debo's just better. There's more ways they can use him on offense. They're more versatile. Yeah. They know that if they're going to go long into these playoffs, if the Niners are going to have the kind of run that they think they can have, Debo Samuel's got to be a big part of this offense. Right. And so my expectation here is that they're going to try to use him and get him going, sort of have a big game, get that confidence going. So I think both guys have big games here, certainly like Kittle. Again, there's a reason why they're almost double-digit favorites in this one. But I agree with Lawrence. I'm going Debo Samuel over Brandon Aiyuk if we're picking between the two.
Yep. The one thing I will say about Aiyuk is that he's had this time over the past 6 weeks to really create chemistry with Brock Purdy.
Sure, of course.
The only time that Brock Purdy really had to drive down the field at the end of the game and win it was against the Raiders at the end of regulation. And he just looked for Brandon Aiyuk every single time. I think they have that chemistry. Look, I agree. This game, it's probably you can build the chemistry with Debo because they're probably going to be winning big. But if it is close, I do think that he will look for Aiyuk.
And they've got a way to manufacture touches for Samuel in a way that they don't really do as much for Aiyuk. So that's the other thing. Yep. But, there's no question. Again, I think both guys are viable.
We ain't sitting here being like, just don't use one and not the other. It's like, we kind of, at this point today, we kind of splitting hairs because Debo just coming back.
No, the truth matter here, Lawrence, is that Jay is making us choose. It's a dumb choice. It's a completely manufactured for television. It's completely manufactured television. It's just like him just being a jerk is what it is, Lawrence. So whatever. Don't make me choose.
He about to make us do it again too.
DK Metcalf will Tyler Lockett, Lawrence.
See, he just did it again.
1,000%. Yeah.
This one a little more easier for me. I'm gonna go Tyler Lockett here, right? Before he got hurt, he had the six game scoring streak where he scored a touchdown in 6 straight games up until week 15. Got hurt with the hand. He was out week 16. Came back week 17 just to get his feet wet, and he scores again in week 18. So, DK Metcalf in the past 5 games, he's averaged 8 targets a game. He's getting 4.5 catches, but only for 50 yards, and he's not scoring the touchdowns. Lockett is the touchdown guy, so I'm banking on that and leaning Lockett a little bit here.
2 games against San Francisco this year. DK Metcalf held under 60 yards in both those games. Tyler Lockett had at least 7 receptions and at least 65 yards in both games against the 49ers. He's the guy that, to me, is more likely just on one big play.
Right.
If they're down in this game and they're throwing, it feels like, at least in the previous 2 games, that's what we have to go off of, is that the 49ers defense has basically said, we'll take our chances with a couple of shots, but we need to shut down DK Metcalf. That's the guy that scares us more than Tyler Lockett, so that's where the focal point of our defense is. Their defense, I don't know that they can keep up with the speed of Tyler Lockett, but they have the size and physicality to deal with DK Metcalf, and so, I prefer Lockett to Metcalf as well.
Yep.
I think he's also likelier to have one big play.
I agree. Before we move off of this game, Geno Smith to throw a pick on MGM is -145. He's throwing a pick in this game. He threw a pick 6 against the Niners. It was called back because of a rubbish Nick Bosa roughing penalty. He's going to throw one this weekend. Let's go to Giants-Vikings. The Vikings are 3-point favorites. These teams played a few weeks ago. The Vikings then were 4.5-point favorites. They are going in the wrong direction. The Giants are going in the right direction. They're getting healthier. The total here is 48. Matthew, who do you think the better play is between Daniel Jones and Kirk Cousins?
This one's tough.
They're the same player.
They really are.
They do it in different ways, but they're the same kind of player at the end of the day.
You know what? I'm gonna say Kirk Cousins, just because this game is at home where he averages over 19 fantasy points per game. Daniel Jones has the rushing, which gives him the floor, but you know what? Screw it. Give me the guy that gets to throw to Justin Jefferson. So I'm gonna take Kirk Cousins here. I think both are pretty close. Again, the one time they played, 24-point fantasy points against the Giants. He was the 3rd best quarterback in fantasy in Week 16. Yeah, I'm gonna go Kirk Cousins.
All right, Lawrence, Saquon Barkley or Dalvin Cook? Saquon is $800 more expensive.
Oh, 800.
Yeah,
I thought you was going to say like 300 more. But, the last 3 weeks, so the Giants have later in the season, they finally said, "Oh snap, our running back is good in the receiving game." So the last 3 weeks, or his last 3 games rather, because he didn't play Week 18, over 7 targets a game and 5 catches in that time. Also in that span, 20 touches per game. That's something they kind of got away from, and pretty much aside from the game against the Colts where Daniel Jones went off. When the Giants win, more than likely, Saquon Barkley is getting 20 touches, and he's having a good game. So give me him. He don't have to worry about Alexander Mattison.
Yeah, I think volume is the right case here with Saquon Barkley. He's had at least 20 touches in 10 of 16 games, 3-point underdogs here, so the game should be close enough that it doesn't get away from them. He's involved in all three downs, all 3 facets of their offense. So, yeah, to me, Saquon Barkley, again, Dalvin Cook there's a little bit of Alexander Mattison vulture concerns there as well. They also have other weapons between Justin Jefferson and Thielen and KJ Osborne and TJ Hawkinson. You feel better about Saquon Barkley's ability to get into the end zone than you do necessarily about Dalvin Cook, because there's less weapons on the New York Giants. I'd rather take my chances against Richie James and Isaiah Hodgins than Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson in the red zone.
Yep. All right, quickly, pick one. Slayton, Hodgins, Richie James. Who do you want out of those 3?
You know what? I'm gonna go with Richie James, right? 17 fantasy points in Week 16 against these Minnesota Vikings. He's had 60 or more receiving yards in 3 of the last 4 games. Here, it just feels like that slot position is where Daniel Jones is comfortable throwing between the numbers.
It is.
Between the hashes. So I think he's got the highest floor here. Hodgins been on 4 touchdowns in his last 5 games, but to me, the floor play here is Richie James. He's also the cheapest at just $3,900 on DraftKings. Slayton's at $4,200. Hodgins is at $4,100. But I do think the slot is an area where you can attack Minnesota.
Okay, let's go to Bucs Cowboys. The Bucs are 2.5 point underdogs at home to the Cowboys. The total is 45.5. Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Tom Brady, uneven and disappointing seasons for both of them. On DraftKings, Dak is $100 more expensive. Who do you want between these 2 guys?
And I don't even need no stats for this. This is playoffs, and this is Tom Brady. And, okay, I'll give you one stat. In Dak's last 3 playoff games, he's only thrown for 1 touchdown.
Wow, that's not great.
7 straight games with an interception for Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Under 300 passing yards in 11 out of 12 games. Under 20 fantasy points in 5 of the last 7. He's also more expensive than Tom Brady. Yeah, no thank you. Dak has not looked like Dak. He looked awful against my Commanders.
He's dreadful.
He looked really, really bad. This game's in Tampa Bay. I think the Buccaneers, I think the Cowboys try to go balanced here and try to go, candidly, run heavy. So I don't want any part of Dak Prescott. I'd love to kind of avoid this game. I think this game's going to be ugly, and if I had to pick one player out of this game, give me Chris Godwin or CeeDee Lamb. Those 2 guys I think probably have a decent floor, but I think the running backs on the Cowboys split the carries against a very tough Buccaneers run defense here. And again, you don't feel great about the Buccaneers run game. I like the under on 45.5. This feels like a low-scoring game between 2 good defenses and 2 offenses that haven't hit their stride.
Yep, no, I like that. And let's get into some other bets as well as we take a look at some of my best bets on the NFC card. And, starting with that game with Cowboys-Bucks, I like the Bucks in this game. And, Matthew, you talked about it earlier in the week, but I don't understand why the Bucks aren't favored in this game. Cowboys' pass defense has fallen off a cliff. They've been 29th in dropback EPA allowed. That's a fancy term, but it just means the Cowboys have been bad for the past 5 weeks. So I think the Bucs will be able to throw, and I think Dak is I don't know what's wrong with Dak, but something's wrong with him. Some rumors that he might have got banged up against the Titans. He has not looked right. And then the other 2 games, DK Metcalf under 61.5 receiving yards. We spoke about this. I think Charvarius Ward, the Niners by far their strongest corner. He will go to DK Metcalf. Lockett will get the easier matchup against Lenoir, so I think the Lockett will be the target for Geno Smith, and DK goes under, as he has in both of the games against the Niners so far. And then Giants-Vikings. I like the under in this game as well. The total is 48. Vikings are really banged up on the offensive line. Brian O'Neill, he is done for the season. Garrett Bradbury is banged up. Vikings have not been able to run the ball ever since TJ Hawkinson got there. I don't think that's TJ Hawkinson's fault, but they just are not running the ball. So Justin Jefferson focused. So I think that game is going to be a little bit uglier than expected. What do you think, guys? Those are approved?
I like all those bets. I mean, we talked about DK Metcalf. He's been under 60 yards in each of the first 2 games here. So the fact that the line's 61.5, I like the under there. Yeah, I think the Buccaneers win this straight up. I'd actually like the Buccaneers on the money line. So, yeah, if you're going to get points, I don't mind taking the 2.5 as well there with Tampa Bay. And, yeah, I like the call on the under there for the Giants. That one makes me a little bit nervous. I probably wouldn't do that just because I think that's a game that you could easily see both defenses that have been inconsistent this year.
Giants defense is healthier, though. They've gotten all their guys back. Ojulari comes back. Adoree Jackson is going to come back as well, we expect, their best corner. So I do think the Giants, their defense is a little bit better than expected.
But it is a playoff game. You could see Kirk Cousins throwing a pick 6 here.
That's true. Yeah.
Which could hurt.
He's not afraid to do that. All right, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll break down Super Bowl MVP odds on BetMGM.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and RotoWorld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from RotoWorld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.